This carry-on suitcase was filled with firearms. Time to show the real technique. The owner of the suitcase is confused. The thief at the side calmly bought a ticket. Basil is a record shop's employee. He watched all of the videos here. But he didn't become a director. That night, there was a gunfight outside. He stood at the door examining the situation. Suddenly the gunman fell. The gun fell to the ground and robbed the trigger. The bullet hit Basil in the head. Although he was saved. But the bullet stayed in his head forever, because he had to be in the hospital. He lost his job. Before leaving, the new store clerk handed him the cartridges she had picked up. Basil remembered the ammunition company logo. He didn't have a house to return. He was homeless. Every day, singing and performing, he earned some money to eat. Slammer found him pitiful, then admitted Basil. Take him to his home in the landfill. There were 7 people living here. They were all poor people admitted by Mama Chow. Each of them had great skills, mainly relied on scavenging for a living. Basil joined them. Finished picking up that day. On the way home, Basil accidentally found out that the ammunition company that had injured him. Looking at the opposite company logo, Basil's memory came back. That year, Basil's father was killed by a mine exploded which produced by this company. That made him become orphan. It was such a coincidence. He only had one thought: find these 2 ammunition companies to argue. He entered the ammunition company. He wanted to find Nicholas, their boss. But they didn't let him enter. He pretended to be a waiter again, blending into the opposite company's wine party. There was also no chance to speak with Boss Marconi. He followed Marconi home, silently slipped into the building, up to the rooftop. Used the recording device to identify Marconi's house. Also accidentally heard there was a dictator. Arranged to meet Marconi. Basil was very happy. He arrived at the meeting place by the scheduled time, pretended to be a mannequin. He sneaked out of their conversation. It turned out that person was the dictator's partner, hearing Marconi's orders to sneak and buy and sell guns. Brazil's strange behavior was discovered by Elastigirl. He told everybody. Under the question of Mama Chow, Basil told them everything. They decided to help him. A plan started. Under Slammer's protection, Basil stole the drug of the dealer's drugs. Then asked Remington to keep the dictator's guard. Slammer posed as airport security to chase Remington. At the same time took the opportunity to put drugs in the bag of them. Buster took the smoked legs deliberately to their side. Dog sniffles. Mama Chow pretended to be a passerby, intercepted the police. Elastigirl rolled in suitcase, took the chance to cut the dog's leash. The dog ran to the side of the other 3, recognized drug, so 3 people immediately arrested by the police. Their people pretended to be glass cleaning workers, cleaned the window glass of Nicholas' office. Nicholas realized they were sneaking, stealthily opened the webcam. Discovered Basil looking horizontally and vertical, so suddenly turned around. OMG, Basil was startled. Fortunately, he was mentally stable, quickly regained his composure. This acting gives 10 points. Nicholas got rid of doubts. Basil took the opportunity to read his email. It turned out that Nicholas had a hobby of collecting rare antiques. This time he wanted to buy Mussolini's eyes. So Buster blew his wheel. Then Basil impersonated Nicholas's secretary, luring the seller to leave. Remington posed as the dictator to meet Nicholas. He said he wanted to buy guns. After returning, Remington pretended to be dictator and phoned Nicholas, made appointment of time, place of delivery. Nicholas trusted, sent someone to the appointment on time. But the sample box was stolen by Slammer and Buster. Remington called Nicholas. He said he couldn't find the sample, cancelled the transaction. Also intentionally said would trade with Marconi. Nicholas trusted it. Supposed it was Marconi playing the game. Calling over, the 2 talked over the phone. Next, Basil split up to damage Marconi's car, stole Nicholas's collectibles. Made them all assume the other had done that. The next morning, a batch of ammunition landed in Marconi's port. Basil placed in front of a pot of bees painted on top of the crane, time scheduled. The vase fell to the ground and broke. The bees flew out in all directions. Everybody was running in fear. Basil was going to stand in that bank, and shot at Buster. Stole the bullets. But Buster lied about his weight. The plan failed, made him fly straight up into the sky. Basil looked at his watch, decisively got into the cannon, then one shot sent him into the grass. Workers were now hiding bees. Basil took the chance to drive to the riverside, threw away all the bullets. Marconi thought that this had been done by Nicholas, so he bribed his staff to destroy the ammunition machine. The machine employee's girlfriend arrives. The 2 made love. After starting the machine, leave it alone. The damaged machine couldn't work properly again. Elastic Girl silently went to Marconi's house to look for evidence. Unexpectedly, Marconi suddenly turned back home. She hurriedly hid in the wardrobe. Marconi realized the power was cut off at home and turned on the circuit breaker, but the gun touched his head. It turned out that the dictator's guard was imprisoned. They assumed that Marconi had reported to the police. Marconi was scared, her begged for life. This guard then was shot to death. Nicholas's guard did that. He also found Marconi to take revenge. The two of them criticized the backstabbing opponent. At that time, Basil was taken to meet them. Nicholas and Marconi all recognized that they had met Basil. Then they eventually understood everything. Actually, Basil had arranged everything. Then they took Basil away. They just left. Elastic Girl felt something was wrong. She hurried told everybody. They started the plan B. First was dealing with Nicholas's subordinates. Nicholas and Marconi went away without knowing that they were on the street. Accidentally there was a car, which obstructed them. They were hesitated. Their car was suddenly sucked up by a magnet. It turned out that Slammer did everything to control their car. They rescued Basil. Nicholas and Marconi was about to react but passed out. They were vague, in a long time. When they woke up, they were in Africa. A man stuffed a gunner into Nicholas's mouth, put a mine under Marconi's feet. At that time, they didn't dare to move. They looked around. Around were all people that had been injured by these bad guys. The two began to admit their mistakes, begging for forgiveness. The results were more agitated, revealed each other. In the end, both of them fell down. They thought that they would die, but the mines did not explode. Actually, these African were all false people. The gunner and landmines were both pinned by them, and they weren't at Africa too. They were still near the river. Everything was Basil's plan. They all regretted. OMG, it was hard to be cautious. The story of Nicholas and Marconi admitting was recorded and posted on the internet, which led to fierce disputes. In the end, they must receive a verdict. This crime comedy is called Micmacs. The film is not about any profound morality, only talk about the feelings of sincere treatment among the characters. The rich. Like and comment. See guys later.